Hi, I'm Kara Hinshaw from Key Associates Signature Realty, and welcome back to the channel Living on the Ohio River, which is right in my backyard right now.
Woo!
So if you are new to this channel, make sure you tap that subscribe button. We're always doing videos once a week. I love to do work, living, and playing here in the Ohio River area, and just wouldn't want you to miss it. So today I'm going to do an overview, a kind of a Louisville Explained. And I'm gonna have my newest little sidekick, Jenny. I'm gonna call her Jenny, my sidekick. She's gonna join me. She's born and raised here in the Louisville area. And so it's gonna be fun because we're gonna talk about the areas, but also a little bit about the history, right?
Yep.
So stay tuned and we're actually on the walking bridge, which used to be the railroads, right?
Yes.
Railway, whatever
Yes.
you want to talk about. But we're going to walk down it so you can see the views and kind of tell you a little bit about Louisville. Okay, so Jenny,
Yes.
or Jennifer when she was younger.
Jenny.
Jenny, that's what she is now.
Yeah, my mother calls me Jennifer.
Jennifer. So let's talk a little bit about the areas of Louisville so people understand a little bit about history as we talk about it as well, kind of how it has evolved.
Okay.
And just point of interest maybe as we get into the areas. What do you think? Again,
Yeah.
I'm a realtor, so if you need help, obviously call me, but she is
I
not.
am not a realtor.
And
I
why
am
I have her here?
a
Because
Louisvillian.
she has no bias. She's not going to fluff it at all for you, are you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so let's start with downtown.
Okay, so downtown there wasn't a whole lot of residential early on in downtown. It was pretty much the business mecca, and families did live east of downtown in an area called Portland.
Yeah.
And they also lived in an area called Chickasaw, which has some beautiful homes in Shawnee Park. And those were the clusters of the neighborhoods, along with around the Churchill Downs area in the south end.
Like old Louisville.
Yeah, just
Yes.
off the cusp of downtown.
Yes.
And then as business grew and families wanted to get out of the city, then areas like Shively started developing, Pleasure Ridge started developing. I think that is when Middletown, St. Matthews started developing, Jeffersontown.
And what year was this?
Oh, I would say in the late 50s.
Late 50s?
Yeah, late 50s, 60s.
Okay.
So my parents lived in around the Churchill Downs area when they first moved here. They were from Kentucky, but when they moved to Louisville, they did move in an apartment in that area.
Okay.
And then they moved out to Shively. But a lot of families moved out toward, again, Jeffersontown, J-Town, you hear that called, which is, there's a lot of housing out that way, and St. Matthews and Middletown. And then from there, so you have downtown and then those areas that expanded. And then in the last 10 years, growth has really expanded in the Prospect County, the Oldham County area, the Mount Washington area, even south part of Louisville, almost across from the Riverboat Casino in New Albany. So you've seen a lot of growth in the last 10 years and families have moved out there.
And a lot of it has gone east.
Most of it has gone east, really.
I mean, obviously west is still there.
Mm-hmm. And really, families are moving now into LaGrange and Buckner and even those towns that really weren't part of Louisville, but now they're part of Louisville. But really, I think St. Matthews, Middletown, the Highlands, Clifton. So the Highlands and Clifton are close to downtown. And then beyond that, you'll see St. Matthews and Middletown and J-Town.
And then you got Germantown.
And then you got Germantown.
Which, I mean, all that,
Schnitzelburg, which are awesome little neighborhoods, also downtown. I forgot about
and
those.
And that's what I love about Louisville, the neighborhoods. You feel like you're in a small town in the city.
It really
is so cool.
No, it
like
is.
everybody has their own flair, their vibe. Don't you agree?
No, completely.
So let's kind of go through the neighborhoods. Downtown, and then you got New Louis. We didn't talk about New Louis.
We didn't talk about New Louis. So you have downtown, you have Old Louisville, and then when you go out Old Louisville, you have the U of L campus and the Churchill Downs area. Or
that would be the old Louisville.
That would be the old Louisville and going south.
The Victorian homes.
Victorian homes. And then you have, let's start at downtown, and then you could go out toward the Highlands or out toward Clifton, and that heads east. And there's an older, real German section of there. Schnitzelburg is in between the south end in that area I just described. And then when you go beyond there, that's when you get to your Middletown and your St. Matthews. But
okay, so how would you explain like Clifton, Germantown? and like the feel
And the
Highlands.
So
Let's start
it's
there.
quirky. It's quirky.
It's quirky.
Local. It's fun. If you love good
A lot
music,
of culture though, right?
Lots of culture. If you love good music, ethnic foods, old homes, beautiful old homes. I'm not
Yes.
just saying dilapidated. Beautiful old homes. It is a great, very walkable because you're right around Cherokee Park.
Yeah.
And so that is a great area because.
And what would be the difference in your opinion, especially if you've
Yeah.
seen it evolve from like the Highlands versus Germantown and even Clifton?
So I think Germantown is big for a lot of singles. Not, the houses are smaller, so there's a
Or
lot of
maybe new
shotgun
families.
houses, new
New
families,
families,
one kid, maybe on the cusp of two, or older adults trying to kind of downsize and get back into the middle of the city.
Yeah.
So I do see Germantown for that. Lots of starter homes. And then as you move out toward
Which
the
that
Highlands,
starter home value has gone up.
yeah, I say smaller homes. We'll say
Smaller
that.
homes, yes.
So when you move into the Highlands and into Clifton, you get into a little bit bigger homes, nicer homes. You get into a lot of parishes, like Catholic parishes. People are very tied to their churches along that route because
Yeah.
there's a lot of
And there's a lot
Louisville
of Catholics. We'll talk about that again
Yeah,
sometime.
It is. But they're deep seated around those parishes.
Yes.
And
Which
so
you-
that's very family oriented.
Yeah.
And multi-generations live there. You might find multi-generations living in those houses probably as much as any place in Louisville, but
Yeah.
it is, grandparents have a big old house, then the kids come in and they help keep the house going, and
Yep.
the grandparents stay or move back in a carriage house. And so you have a lot of that going on in the Highlands and Clifton.
So Clifton and Highlands, they're kind of merged together a little bit, but the Highlands actually has more of the entertainment, bars, all that stuff.
Yes, yeah. Oh, the Highlands definitely has more of the nightlife.
Yes.
Clifton has a few things, but Highlands is truly, if you want bar, if you want food, if you want ice cream, if you want entertainment, if you want live music, if you want, what I love about the Highlands, vintage
Yeah,
stores. They have
do
so
love it.
many vintage 70s stores, just a lot of them. So
Showing
it's,
our age here.
yeah, it's fun. Sorry, it's fun.
Okay, so let's go to St. Matthews and talk about St. Matthews, J-Town, that area.
So St.
Middleton,
Matthews,
all that little
yeah,
bit.
St.
Like,
I
we're pushing
think-
east.
I feel like if I were a family and say I started living in the Highlands for my starter area, or maybe in New or maybe even in Germantown. Well, by the time my kids would get to high school age, sometimes you see a lot of them moving out to the Highlands at that point because they have some really good high schools. Sports are big, so there's a lot of sports complexes out that way, and just shopping. That's where all the big malls are, which you alluded to in
Yep.
one of your earlier videos. And they seem to have a lot more homes with big yards
Yeah.
and a little bit of more privacy. So I think that's the draw
Of
as
all
you move
those
out
areas,
there.
really.
Yeah.
And you get probably newer homes as you go towards
Oh,
Middleton.
definitely newer
Yeah.
homes. And, again, you have access to all the interstates and the freeways out there
Yeah.
because they've only grown as well as you go
And
move
they have
outside.
a lot of north, south, east, west. It's pretty easy to get around.
It is. So downtown Louisville is surrounded by a loop called the Watterson Parkway, and that's the inner loop. And that takes you to Shively, not Bardstown Road area, not the Highlands necessarily, but Bardstown Road area, St. Matthews, and Middletown. And then there's another loop outside of the Watterson called the Gene Snyder Freeway. And the Gene Snyder Freeway takes you out toward Crescent Hill, Westport Road, Oldham County, Mount Washington, the outer limits of Louisville. So that's nice because a lot of cities just like 465, that's the only spur Indianapolis has, but Louisville has an inner spur and they have an outer spur. So it really does make traffic flow nicely.
Yeah, so that's good. And let's before we end, I think we've covered a lot of the, if you're looking at areas, just explaining how it's all set up, Louisville itself. But schools. Let's talk about schools. Because you have a big private sector as well as, public as well.
do.
What's your opinion growing up here?
So growing up here, I grew up here when there was an ideal started called busing. And so busing really took the west side kids and moved them over to the east side of Louisville and the east side and put them in school at the west side. So it really disrupted a lot of families. It did. But Louisville, I think being such a Catholic you know, they have a huge archdiocese here.
Yeah.
It's a
And
very
and we're
Catholic
going-
area.
There's picnics every Friday. in
Yeah,
there.
so
We're not getting sidetracked, but every Friday.
it is every Friday. But
Huge picnics for these Catholic.
there are. So there ended up being around a dozen Catholic schools. You know, 6 were all boys and 6 were all girls.
Okay.
Today, there's probably 2 or 3 boys' schools and 4 or 5 girls' schools and a co-ed
One
school.
co-ed. And there's only
In
one
the
co-ed.
Catholic diocese. But then there's also a couple other schools called Collegiate and Kentucky Country Day that are private parochial schools that also have tuition. But those schools, most of those schools, I think all of those schools 100% would offer a great education, but it's a pay-for education.
Yes.
And I think tuition runs anywhere from 12 to 15,000
Depending on what you pick.
per kid, yes.
Yeah.
So the public school system has some really good opportunities. So they have
We'll sit-
traditional schools.
We have a good view here. We'll sit and
Oh,
chat.
yeah. They have what's called traditional schools. And so traditional schools offer children a little bit more in-depth understanding, and they have a lot of college preparatory curriculum. I think that's great. The problem with those are, not that it's a problem, but it's just a challenge because it's a lottery system. So you have to start applying for those around 6th or 7th grade if you want to get into high school for those. Once you're in, it's great. Now there are manual traditional, male traditional. There may even be a couple others. It's getting windy.
Yeah.
Feels good though. But so those I think that traditional schooling will grow more. So
Yeah.
at least the nice thing, you know, is you have multiple options.
Yeah.
You really do.
And they're good.
You have
It
very
just-
many faith-based.
Yeah, you got a lot of
Oh,
faith-based
Kentucky
but-
Christian,
Yeah.
that's huge. That's
Yeah.
another really big school here in
So a lot of good
Louisville.
options. You just may pay money depending on what avenue you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we did a good overview for you.
I think so.
And look at this beautiful
Oh,
view.
Look, there's
And
a
we got
huge.
a plane.
Okay,
Let's do it.
Louisville has an
We're doing a
international
360.
airport.
This is-
Louisville
this is
does have an
far.
international airport. We'll say that.
Okay, well, you guys, if we will break these out in smaller videos and areas as we go.
And I want to close on.
She's gonna close.
I'm going to close on. I'm sorry, I am going to close. Because Kara asked me what is the best part about being in, you know, growing up in Louisville.
I
and
wanted
I
to know.
think it offers all the amenities of a big city. You have shopping, you have music, you have food, you have a cultural arts scene, you have jobs, readily available jobs. You have schools to prepare you for those jobs, whether it's a 4-year school or a 2-year school or a certified school or an enhanced high school experience. But I think for a city, you have everything a city offers except for traffic. You don't have, you know, you're not sitting on an I-4 or an I-10 and you're not stuck
It's
for
traffic
an hour.
compared to the country, but if you're talking about big cities, it's
Oh,
pretty good.
You might have 10 minutes of traffic,
Yeah,
but I
it's
do.
not bad.
So I think it offers all the amenities of a big city in a small footprint.
And there we got it.
Yeah.
She loves it.
I do.
She is born and loves it and preaches Louisville, right?
I do. And I'm moving back. I'm moving back one day.
Yeah, she actually, well, we'll go into another video.
I'm a
there.
Hoosier now, but I am coming back to Louisville. You just
Yeah.
wait.
She's just across the road.
A little bit.
Okay, well, until next time, you guys, I hope you enjoyed Miss Jenny. We'll see
Okay.
you then.